Hi there everyone, it's Misty here from TheJollyFatElf. Happy Friday! Welcome to the last card in this week's One Layer Seam cards. Today I am using Elfie from the 2019 Stampin' Up! Holiday Catalog. This is one of my most favorite cards in these, one of my most favorite cards ever that I've made. And one of my most favorite stamp sets in the holiday catalog. My first favorite card, I think, is that gingerbread shaker card. So far, I'm not done. So I'm going to be doing some stamping and some masking again to make one layer cards. That's the best way to do it. And you want to stamp with whatever you want in the front. And of course, I'm going to want my elves in the front. Initially, I thought, I'll just use my scissors to trim out a piece of this Eclipse masking paper. And then I decided I better bring in a die. So in a minute, you're going to see me bring in, I believe it's a hillside die from Simon Says Stamp to cut out this Eclipse masking paper, but I'm just kind of lining up how I want my scene to be. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp both of my elves onto this piece of Whisper White. I'm going to be using some distressed oxide inks, but I'm going to be coloring with my stamping blends. So I'm going to go ahead and put that off to the side, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp each of these elves again because I'm going to want to cut out the mask and make sure that I put it on the mask, or put the mask on it so it doesn't mess up. And here I'm trying to be lazy, but that doesn't really work very often. So just go ahead and stamp it. And I mentioned the other day that I get my Eclipse masking paper from Amazon. I get almost a lot of things from Amazon. Okay, so once I have these cut out and I went ahead and put them on top of my images, I'm going to go ahead and bring in that piece of Eclipse masking paper that I'm cutting with the die. I'm just running that through my Gemini, which I'm still loving, by the way. I am considering getting the smaller Gemini, or Gemini Junior, but I am loving the Gemini so much. So I am bringing in this tonic craft mat, and then I'm using my little snowbank here to create my the difference between my skyline. So this is actually going to be for like my horizon line, because once after I do my ink blending, I'm going to bring in a stencil and some kind of glimmer paste and add some stars. So it's going to be really, really pretty. So in here, I messed up. Initially, I was going to do the stencil first, but I ended up with blue stars. So you can see those there on the masking paper. So I just re-stamped. It was easy to do. And now I'm going to add, the distressed oxide. I am so sorry. So I'm starting with Salty Ocean. Then I'm going to bring in some Chip Sapphire and then finish up with some Black Soot. And I'm just going to go back and forth with those three colors. I'm using these brushes that I mentioned I picked up from Amazon. It's like 10 or 11, maybe even $13 for a set of like 12. So way less expensive than the ones from Picket Fence, which I think are $40, and I believe they're the exact same. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in my stencil and then my glimmer paste from Gina K Design, glitch gel, I think is what they call it. And this is the star stencil from Echo Park, but any stencil will do ya. If you saw my foiled transfer gel video, this is that same star stencil. So there it goes. That's what it looks like. I'm going to set this aside to dry, and then I'm going to come back in probably about an hour to color everything up. So I'm going to make sure that I clean everything off really well so I don't have anything on my stencil. So I went ahead and brought in a couple of blue Copics to just kind of add some color and some separation between the sky and the snow on the ground. As of right now, I still have my mask on. I'm just adding some shadowing, and I'm going to do this again later with the Copic markers again. I'm going to bring in some more. So I wasn't really perfect when I cut around these masks, and you're going to see me bring in my blender pen to help add some color to the spots that I missed. And also I don't cut, like I can't cut straight to save my life. So there are some areas that I needed to bring in some color. You can definitely see it between like the ornament and his foot. There's an area there that I didn't feel like cutting out. So I'm just using a blender pen. This is one from Stampin' Up, but you can get them at Michael's, you can get them at Hobby Lobby, you can get them at Amazon, you know, just whatever. And I'm just adding this to acrylic block. That way I can pick up the color and just go where it's needed and just trying to blend that out. So not perfect by any means, but there's so much going on in the scene. I don't think that it makes, you know, that big of a difference. So I'm going to go around both of them, just kind of coloring in the white to make sure there's no white around them and get that blended in. And then I'm going to move on to coloring them. And I'm going to be using my Stampin' Blends for this video. You can also use your Copics or your Spectrum Walls or Arteza markers, whatever you want to use. You could even watercolor with this if you wanted to. Just make sure you use watercolor paper. But I am using 3 greens. I'm using Dark Old Olive and then both of the Granny Apple Greens. I like this combo because that Dark Old Olive gives a really nice dark shadow. And I have a dark, a mid-tone, and a light by using the Granny Apple Green combo. And I decided to go ahead and make their outfits green. I've never really seen the movie Elf, but I know that Will Ferrell wears green in that movie. I know you guys are like, what, Misty? I'm just not a huge Will Ferrell fan. And so yeah, so I've never really watched it, but that's okay. I love a lot of other Christmas movies. So I'm just coloring both of these little dudes the same way, just using that Dark Old Olive where I think there would be darkness or shadow. And again, you don't have to use this many colors. You could use just 2 colors and get, you know, a really pretty blend. I just like adding in that extra bit of dimension. Yeah, I just really love it. So again, just bringing in that blender pen where I missed it, and then just going back and forth with the colors and just blending that out. I think it turned out really cute. I love the little shoes. They are adorable. So cute. You guys know I love elves. Hello, I'm the Jolly Fat Elf. And I decided to go ahead and do a traditional color card. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm so sorry I have the yawns, but I really don't want to have to redo this voiceover. So I am using the bronze and the ivory marker for their skin, and I'm using Fleur de Flamingo for their little blush. And initially I colored them the exact same, and then I decided for the little dude on the right that I wanted him to be a little bit darker. So you'll see in a minute that I come back and color him with more of the bronze. Here I'm trying to pick out colors used because I want like an auburn or a redhead. If you are using the blends, Cajun Craze is perfect for this technique. So initially I colored orange, and then I just went over it with this brown, and I actually really like how this turned out. And the other one I'm just going to use a gray. This is C8, it looks like, to give him dark hair. And then here I'm going to go over him with some more bronze just to give him a little bit of a darker skin tone. Once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and use Poppy Parade for the present, for this bow on the present, and then I'll also use Poppy Parade for like all of the little spots on their tights, and then the buttons on their coat. And then I'm going to bring in some dark Real Red here to add a little bit of depth and dimension into that bow, and then color it over it with the light Poppy Parade. So I'm using the pool party markers for this present, but I'll end up bringing in, I believe it's BG13. At this time, I don't have the Bermuda Bay markers, but if I had the Bermuda Bay markers, this is what I would use rather than this pool party, just to add a bit more dimension, make it a little bit deeper, but this actually turned out okay. My biggest concern was there's so much blue in the background and with the snow that I didn't want it to blend in, but I think I did a pretty decent job of making sure it stood out. So I'm adding the stripe here on this pole. I didn't do any fancy blending. I just used one color, and then I'm using another light color for the sign. And then I'm going to bring in that Sharpie marker from the other day and color in that. And then I'm going to end up coloring all the bells on their outfit. So they have them on their toes, and then they have them on the top of their head. So you'll see me do that as well. So really fun and really simple coloring, but this is such a striking card. And like I've mentioned over the last couple of days, this is one of those cards, like if you wanted to go ahead and just make a color copy of this and you could print them out as many as you want, that's something that you can do. And it's really, for those of us who may be disabled or who can't color as much, or who want to put a lot of effort into one design, that's a really great way to go, especially if you have, and you can scan it at home, you can take it to Staples, you can pretty much scan it anywhere and then just print, your color copies on cardstock, or you could do photo paper if you wanted to. It's really up to you. So once I've done that, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and bring in that blue to add a bit more shading. And then I'm going to put this on a Poppy Parade card base. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring in one of the sentiments from that Elfie stamp set to stamp on the inside with some Green Green. So guys, thank you so much for joining me this week. Oh my gosh, I really loved how cute these were. I just think they turned out so fun. Not one layer cards at all, but one layer scenes. Really easy to reproduce. I think you could absolutely do these on your own without any help from me. As always, links will be down below if you're interested in purchasing any of these cards, or if you'd like any of these cards made into a set, just let me know. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I believe this is going up on October the 3rd, and next Tuesday, October the 8th, I will be having my back surgery. So you will still be getting videos from me, but I may be quiet in the comments for a while. So, all right, guys, have a fantastic weekend. Happy October, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.